I just started crying. You know, I mean, to this day when I think about that, I'm like, what happened? I just started crying, and something just happened. I said I didn't even want to be near my mom because, like I said, I'm this tough guy and whatnot. I mean, I didn't want to be near her. I just did my own pilgrimage by myself, and I just the whole time I was like, God, what have I been doing? What have I been doing? Please save me from the path that I'm on. Please, please save me from the path that I'm on. And so, I respect my brother Khidr, and what he was saying, that our parents raised us and all that, and they did. But, we all go through this experience. It's a choice. It's a choice that we make. And at that point, I made a choice to follow my faith and to live it. And when we came back and we landed, I literally lost all my friends. The same story that Chris was sharing about Mike and how he lost his friends, because we basically had nothing in common anymore. You want to go vandalize this? You want to go do this? You want to go do that? No, no, no. Well, I guess, I had to have a whole new set of friends, okay? So now we get to America, and I want to get to this. This is important. In Saudi Arabia, in the American school system, here it comes, let's see. Okay, so the school system is only, it only goes to 9th grade for the American school system, okay? And after that, the tradition was that you just go to boarding school or your parents move back, okay? So I went to boarding school. My best friend before I'd gone to the pilgrimage, he had gone to boarding school. He was 1 year older than me. He got kicked out. He went to the Northeast schools, one of the nice schools over there. He got kicked out for doing drugs and alcohol and dealing them and whatnot. I mean, this is the type of path that I was going to be on, going there. So my parents were very wary of sending me to boarding school, but they knew that I had changed. But they didn't want to even send me in the vicinity, like the radius of there. I was going to go to Deerfield Academy from his home state, but they didn't even want to send me in, like where I could even, be contacted. So I went to Florida for boarding school. Now, again, the irony is that my parents wanted to send me someplace where I'd be preserving my faith and all this kind of stuff, right? Well, I go to this boarding school. I was the only Muslim there. Out of all, these kids, it's like 1,000, student school total. I mean, but in high school, probably a lot less. Anyways, I'm the only Muslim there in a Florida boarding school. Florida boarding schools are very different from Northeastern boarding schools or prep schools. We have uniforms, but they're a lot less, they're a lot more lax and whatnot. Anyways, I was there the first day. And we had study hall. And, our study halls are in our rooms, in our dorm rooms. You just open the door and you have, monitors and you study. I had to make a choice. I got there my first day. And remember, my parents left me and they're gone 1,000+ miles, thousands of miles like, across the sea. Like imagine that for a young man just entering high school. And I had to make a choice, Am I still a Muslim? Do I believe in this? Because it's not comfortable. I had to pray. It was prayer time. Study hall coincided with prayer time. And when we pray, it's a very specific time we have to pray, and specific motions and whatnot you have to do, and you can't talk to somebody. I had a roommate. I told my roommate right away. My roommate came from Georgia, southern Georgia. So, I wasn't expecting him to necessarily have ever met a Muslim or know anything about it, and of course he didn't. And I told him, I said, look, I'm a Muslim. He's like, you're a what? I said, I'm a Muslim, okay? And I just I'm going to pray right now. This is what I got to do. I cannot speak to anybody. Somebody cannot walk in front of me, and I'm going to pray. So I pray. He's like, yeah, okay, that's fine. So I pray. By the time I'm done praying, and prayer only takes 10 minutes, there were 20 people in my room. One guy would come, he'd be like, shh. Another guy would come, shh. 20 guys, okay? And I'm trying to pray, okay? And I can't talk to them at that point. I can't do anything. So anyways, I finished my prayer. They had a million questions. They were asking me, where's your idol? What are you doing? Blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Of course, we don't pray to idols. Okay, that's a stop sign. But we don't pray to idols. We don't do all that stuff. But the point is, I answered all their questions because I had chosen my identity. I had chosen to be a Muslim. Nobody forced me to be a Muslim. I'm confident in my faith. I'm confident in who I am. And I respected who they were. So by the time I left boarding school, and this is what I'm going to end on. When I left boarding school, the seniors went out. They were all going out, and we were all buddies. I played basketball in high school. I played while I was fasting, did all this kind of stuff. They all knew about all the stuff that I'd gone through, whatnot. We were buddies, and they were all going to the strip club, okay? Just frankly, that's where they were heading for their senior party or whatnot. And of course, I told them, no, I'm not going, And they said, come on. And some of them were like, come on, just go. You can just turn the other way and not look and blah, blah, blah. What's the big deal, right? And I was like, all right. But before I could even say anything, a lot of the guys just stepped up and said, no, You know, leave him alone. That's what he wants to do. That's what he wants to do. And then they all shook my hand and said, I respect you, but I'm going. I was like, well, you know, if you respect me, don't go. You know, like, but you know, that's where it ended. But you know, all I can say is that, you know, I think, you know, experiences vary, but you know, that's where I come from in terms of my Muslim American experience. Of course, there's a lot more. I'm 35 years old now, so you know, I'm married. I have 3 kids. I went to the University of Michigan. There's a lot more, but I think that's enough to kind of share, you know, maybe my perspective.
Wow, what a treat. Okay, our final speaker is Mr. Shamael Haque. Shamael grew up in Detroit and Livonia, where he lettered in high school wrestling. He went on to complete his bachelor's degree and master's degree in public health at the University of Michigan. While there, he won a national championship in college boxing for the University of Michigan. He then pursued medical training by completing medical school at Michigan State University and completing training as both a neurologist and psychiatrist at Henry Ford Hospital. During his medical training, he and his wife, Sadia Shaker, starred in a reality television show called 30 Days as a Muslim that aired on FX, not Fox, right? FX. All right? As well as made a guest appearance on the Oprah Winfrey Show. He now runs a memory and neuropsychiatric clinic at Henry Ford West Bloomfield Hospital and is happily married with 3 children. Shamael Haque.
In the name of God, most beneficent, most merciful, assalamu alaikum, peace be unto you all. I think the best part of that is I'm happily married with 3 kids. So. Yes, it does deserve a clap. All right. It's really interesting the way this progressed. We started with people who embraced the faith to somebody who lived overseas and lived the faith. And now you're to me where I was born Muslim and I've grown up in Southeast Michigan, lived here all my life. Oh my God! And and I've lived and really haven't been outside of the Southeast Michigan area. So I'm going to talk to you more about the challenges of growing up as a Muslim, especially in the Southeast Michigan area. I grew up in Detroit for about till 7 years old, and that was an interesting time. I'm a son of working class. Family. My dad was an engineer at Chrysler initially, now Ford, and my mom was a daycare worker. And I still recall in Detroit, we used to get paddled actually in growing up in school. It's something that's unheard of now. But I mean, I really enjoyed the time there. We moved over to Livonia. Livonia it's a great city, but if most people don't know this unusual fact about it, it's the largest population in the nation with the least diversity. It has over 100,000 people and really 99% Caucasian. And the school I went to, Churchill, was on the border of Westland and Livonia. So a lot of working class, primarily Caucasians. So you know, much like Haaris, the challenge was how do you maintain your faith in the environment of the dominant culture. And so, for example, you know, there's certain rules that we can certainly talk about in the question and answer, but some of those rules would be Muslims didn't date when they got to know somebody that was for the intention of marriage. That's the way that my parents raised me. Muslims didn't drink alcohol, didn't eat pork. So, I mean, these things became a challenge when you're going to school. Middle school, I still recall, the homecoming queen asked me out for prom, and you know, yes, yeah, that's right. She's here in the audience. No, no. So that was a challenge to turn the homecoming queen down, but yes, you know that was interesting. I mean, just to try to explain how that, you know, why I believed the way I did. The other thing was when I got to high school, it got even more challenging, obviously with drugs and the delinquent behavior of a lot of people that you grow up with. I mean, I think we've all been through those kinds of experiences of, you know, your parents tell you, you know, don't go to those bad friends and go to the good friends. And so there, you know, I really got the challenge of, they didn't know I was from, my parents were originally from India and Pakistan, I'd never been, I'm not Arab, never been to Arabia, kind of had the same impression that Haaris did. But unfortunately, in high school, they thought I was Arab. So I used to get sand nigger, towel head, rag head, and my all-time favorite was your camel's double parked outside. So, but so I mean, you know, responding to that, then you know, explaining to people that we didn't, you know, when we were fasting during the month of Ramadan, you know, I'm sitting in the lunchroom. I still wanted to, you know, hang out with my friends, but it was a challenge to obviously eat there because it's, ooh, this food tastes really good, you know, and the pressures that come with that, or explaining to people we didn't eat pork, and a lot of times they took that and twisted it in a different way. They said, oh, are you allowed to call a cop a pig, or can you speak pig Latin? Can you throw a pig skin football? And, you know, these kinds of jokes. So those are the pressures that really, you know, being Muslim, one had to face and go through. I could say, though, that faith is kind of what, you know, was your anchor and what really kept you going. And I think if it weren't for faith and the conviction that I wanted to maintain, it wouldn't have gotten me through some of the pressures that a lot of us face in high school, a lot of the things that happen. The other thing I wanted to mention on a separate note was I'm also a child of a very mixed background. Dr. Jackson talked about America being the most diverse community, Muslim community in the world. I can tell you that I've lived that. I'm a Sunni Muslim born to Indian and Pakistani parents who grew up primarily in Dearborn amongst Lebanese Shias. I used to attend their prayer services. I would hang out there. That's where I grew up, was pretty much Dearborn. So isn't it amazing? It's a testament to America that we can bring all of that kind of diversity and yet still, you know, get along and be able to progress. And I think that's a great testament to America. But those were some of the challenges I just wanted to describe. I think going forward, I think the 30 Days show really outlined kind of what life was like as a Muslim. And I'd encourage you all to, you know, unfortunately a shameless plug, but you know, really check out the video. It's a great video on sort of living life as a Muslim.
Is
but
it upstairs?
it might be. I don't know. You could Google video it. It's you know, just writing 30 Days as a Muslim. But I just wanted to kind of highlight those things. I think boxing and finding those releases was also important. Not only faith, but sports. I think boxing was also a challenge. You know, going to different events and the pressures that came with that. I think it was. Again, faith was something that really got me through that. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. So there are things in life that we all face and where we can turn to faith as something that's an anchor for all of us. So thank you.
Boxing after all those questions.
Yes. Now we have the pleasure of being able to entertain questions from the floor. And I am simply going to go through some of the questions that I have here. And I guess none of them are addressed to any particular panelist, so I guess anybody who wants to speak to the question can do so. The first one is, could the panelists please speak a bit about being Muslim in the post-9/11 reality?
I guess I can start. You know, 9/11. You know, rocked everybody's world. Everybody remembers. It's one of those events that everybody remembers where they were when it happened. I had just finished law school, and I was, you know, I think I was making some decisions, some career decisions at that point. So I remember waking up, turning on the TV and seeing what was happening and feeling this chill just go down my spine. And I remember crying. And just thinking about, you know, really it was surreal. And I think everybody shares that type of experience. It was a surreal experience. And I don't think I could have imagined, at that point I was reacting more as a human being and as an American, rather than as a Muslim in particular or anything of the sort, because I was just thinking of that, you know, wow, this is actually happening. This is, my dad used to work here. You know, this is, you know, and this was a place, you know, this was where I was born. You know, this is, you know, like, this just can't be happening. This can't be happening. You know, and so the reason that it was a whirlwind for me after that is,